Nothing in this podcast or on our website should be construed as medical advice. Consult your healthcare provider for your individual nutritional and medical needs. The information presented is based on our research and is strictly that of the author and not necessarily those of any professional group or other individual.
Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers. Welcome to Sue's Healthy Minutes. I'm so excited you've joined me today, and I hope this episode encourages you and allows you to find the answers you have been praying for the health of you and your family. Today, I want to continue our journey in exploring the goodness of whole grains by introducing you to one of my favorite little grains, millet. You are most likely already familiar with millet since in America, it's best known as that little round yellow seed found in birdseed. But millet is far too nutritious and delicious to just be given to the birds. And I'm not the only one that believes this. In fact, according to this year's edition of the Old Farmer's Almanac, in an article by Margaret Boyles, another millet enthusiast, the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization has actually designated 2023 as the International Year of Millet. Yep, that's right. A year for millet. I often feel like every year some new superfood grain bursts on the scene that literally takes over the healthy food world with the promise that if eaten every day and in every way, it could be the answer to all of your health issues. Marketing strategies convince us that this food is better than any other food out there, and it begins to show up in every processed food that lines grocery store shelves. Well, I'm not sure that declaring 2023 as the International Year of Millet will bring millet into the limelight as with other superfood grains, but I am certainly in favor of bringing it not only to our attention, but also to our tables and not just keeping it in our bird feeders. Millet is a true grain, and it belongs to the same grass family of grains as rice, wheat, rye, oats, corn, and barley. Like rice and corn, millet is naturally gluten-free. Today, though not as popular worldwide as other members of its grain family, millet is a staple food in areas of Africa, Asia, India, and China, just as it has been throughout history, where it is believed to have originated. In fact, millet has been found in archaeological sites in China, believed to be thousands of years old. Even finding what is believed to be the oldest noodles in the world made from millet, along with evidence of beer brewing with millet in another ancient site. Like so many other grains besides wheat, millet is considered a poor man's food as it will grow well in hot, dry climates in very poor soil conditions. And because the millet grains mature more quickly than other grains, farmers in these climates can often grow 2 to 3 crops in a growing season. Millet first came to America in the late 1800s, mostly as a crop for hay and animal feed. In the late 1960s, an interest in using millet in birdseed increased its demand. And then in the late 1990s, the growing awareness of celiac disease had people looking for gluten-free alternatives to wheat and cereal products. Although millet is considered an ancient grain, its health benefits have only recently been studied. As a grain, millet is naturally gluten-free and is particularly easy to digest, making it a great first solid food for babies, as well as an easy-to-digest grain option for the elderly and those with compromised digestive systems. Millet is considered by some to be the least allergenic of all grains. Like most grains, millet is high in fiber and good for your gut, as well as food for your good gut organisms. Millet is particularly high in protein, especially the amino acids methionine and cysteine that are usually lacking in other grains. A 1-cup serving of cooked millet provides about 6 grams of protein. Millet also provides a significant amount of minerals, particularly zinc and iron and magnesium, as well as antioxidants and the full vitamin B complex. However, unlike most other grains, millet has almost no fat content, so it is not a good source of essential fatty acids and therefore has no vitamin E content. But that should not deter us from adding millet to our menus. Millet has a mild, nutty flavor that cooks up light and tender and takes on the flavor of whatever it is cooked with. In cooking and baking, millet is quite versatile. In Asia and India, millet is most commonly eaten as a hot porridge or breakfast cereal, much like we eat oatmeal, but it works equally well in savory dishes and in place of rice. In her book, Whole Grains, Every Day, Every Way, Lorna Sass gives 3 recommendations for cooking millet: for fluffy millet, sticky millet, and creamy millet. Unfortunately, this book is now out of print, but you can find the directions on our website, breadbeckers.com, under articles about millet. I will put the direct link in this podcast description. I will also include the link to one of my favorite millet recipes, millet mac and cheese. It is a creamy, delicious dish that is so easy to put together. Definitely not low fat, but everyone who tasted it hot from the oven thought it was a traditional pasta mac and cheese. You might also want to check out Maria Speck's recipe for ricotta millet pudding with warm raspberry compote from her book, Ancient Grains for Modern Meals. This is one of my all-time favorite grain cookbooks. This book is not only beautiful, but also filled with delicious recipes for a variety of grains, using the grains in their whole form, as in this millet pudding, as well as using the grains milled into flour for baking. You can find Ancient Grains for Modern Meals on our website, breadbeckers.com. I've also included the direct link to the book in today's podcast description. These and more are great ways to use millet as a boiled grain. But millet can also be ground into flour and added to other flours to use in baking. Millet can also be coarse ground and substituted for corn in grits or polenta. Millet can even be popped and enjoyed like popcorn. In yeast spreads, for a good rise and texture, no more than 25% millet flour should replace the wheat flour used. For non-yeast breads, it's still best to combine millet with other grain flours. Uncooked whole millet may also be added to a variety of baked goods to give a nice crunch to the breads. Millet is far too nutritious and delicious to just be given to the birds. So I look for ways to use this small, yellow, nutty little grain. I do love it as a boiled grain, but my favorite use is to just add it directly to breads, muffins, cookies, or granola. The sweet little crunch and color it provides is a welcome addition, and it can be a nice substitute for nuts. Now, I've talked about millet being in birdseed, but birdseed is not the preferred source for obtaining your millet, as it may be unsuitable for human consumption. You can, of course, find millet at Bread Becker's, both in our store and online. At Bread Becker's, as with all of our grains and beans, we sell millet in 2-pound bags, 1-gallon pails, and 6-gallon buckets. I hope that you have been inspired today to give this nutritious and delicious little grain a try. Don't just feed it to the birds. The Farmer's Almanac article also stated that in China, the elderly are advised to eat a bowl of millet before going to bed in order to get a good night's sleep. Since I now qualify as elderly, I think I will give this a try. If this works, millet might just become my new favorite grain. Thank you for listening today. Until next time, this is Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minutes.
Sue's Healthy Minutes podcast has been a presentation by the Bread Beckers Incorporated, located in Woodstock, Georgia. For more information, store hours, and learning opportunities, visit breadbeckers.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. Share this with 2 friends who would benefit from this information, and be sure to join us again next week for more of Sue's Healthy Minutes.